That happened to me one time in a club where the sound went out, and the DJ back in the day, we had these record things that went around, and he had to go to the men's room, and I was the closest to him. So he goes, Joyce, come over here, and I go there, and he goes, listen, whatever you do, don't touch anything, just put this one button when the song is over. So I'm standing there waiting for the button, and and all of the sound went out, and
No, no.
everybody's staring at me to fix it. So I'm like ducking down behind the DJ booth. I was like, I don't know. It was awful. I was embarrassed. I couldn't wait till he came back.
Those are the turntable days. Those are the turntable days,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, and even
right.
if you got it right and you hit the needle and you moved it across, you get that across the record.
I know. Believe me, when he used to have a little too many cocktails, it wasn't so good. I could hear that. They used to
No,
drink back in the day.
I first of all, I am so excited to talk to you. I want to thank you for spending time with us tonight and
That's my
just
pleasure.
enjoying this and I've been reading your stuff forever. I have to say this, and I say this respectfully to all the other people we've had on the show. You're a legend, and to look at your background and how long you've been helping restaurants in this industry, there's not too many people like you around, and it's an honor to have you
Yeah.
around. So
Thank
I'm so
you.
excited. And I'm even more flattered that you're like you wrote something the other day and you put me in there, and I'm like, I was like, oh my God. And I'm sharing, I was in Winnipeg. I was in Winnipeg doing a show out there. And I'm like, look at this, look. And I'm sharing it with people. So
No,
you're a bigger
thank
fan.
you. Well, I follow your work and the other people that I mentioned. That there are some that I follow too, and I learn from them.
Well, it's amazing how many people are in the industry that want to help, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's like this for doctors and other things out there, but it's amazing that our industry, that there's so many people like yourself out there that want to help the industry continue. And looking at your background on, I thought it was so fascinating because you don't really hear too many people that want to really set up the next generation for our industry, but you're one of them. Tell me about that. Tell
Well,
me, like, why you want to set up
we
for
if we don't, then people like you and I won't have the industry to really get what we felt in our when we were here. It's just because I noticed the difference in hospitality. It's shifted, it kind
Yes.
of went sideways. And I said, one day I'm going to be able to do something to make a difference for these, because when you're an employee, it's difficult to make change, right? Because it comes down from the top and then you just do it, right? But when you're an owner, you can make your own format. And I said, I'm going to share what didn't work more than what did work, because I saw the same mistakes being repeated over and over again. Not just in my work, not just where I was hanging my, but when I would go out to dine out and see, I would listen over and over again.
Yeah.
So when you are in this industry, though, and you are an employee, you're exhausted at the end of the day. So giving back isn't as easy as you think. So I had to wait until it was a point. There was a point where I had the time, because you just
Absolutely.
give back that much when you're working for those big companies. They want your attention 24.
They really do. It's interesting because I work for one, and I'm grateful that they allow me to do this stuff at night because they make sure that I'm taken care of and everything during the day. But you're absolutely right, because there's a lot of work going into the day job when you have,
Yeah.
your nighttime stuff that you're putting out there, or you're writing articles, or
Right.
you're attending events, or you're doing different things out there. It's a lot of work, and you're absolutely right that you got to have a heart for this, because
Yeah.
it's
You
not.
gotta have the passion. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have the passion, but it's also, the thing is, I find that you have to have the stamina. You have
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
gotta keep
Well,
going.
see, they should use my system, Jay, and then they won't be exhausted because
Exactly.
my system doesn't make you work that crazy hours.
Well, I'm gonna ask you to tell us your system. You can give us more of that.
I don't mind at all. I'm a mentor for SCORE, the nonprofit SCORE, and I share it with my little mentees all the time.
I call mine coaches.
Mentees,
I do.
little mentees. These are people though that are going to the SBA, the Small Business Association, and they're actively seeking to open a restaurant. Usually it's something small. Like right now, I have a girl that's opening a yogurt shop, and then I have another one that's opening a little taco shop. So I'm setting what I do as a volunteer is I set him up with homework. Do this, do that, do this, do that, and then they have guidance. So
I do the same thing. I'm so glad I'm doing things right then. I love giving homework to my coaches and the restaurants I get to work with every day. And you must, do you ever find, like, you just want to help more and more, and there's a point where you have to allow them to kind of make those mistakes
well,
as much as
they
they can?
have 50% of people will say you're never going to learn unless you make the mistake and fall on your face, and then you'll learn. But there's a old Indian saying, and that's when an elderly person passes, a book is burnt, meaning you'll never get that same opinion from that person because their book was burnt when they passed. So I've always been, and I'm Indian. I don't know if I told you that, but my mother's Cherokee, like real
Wow.
Cherokee, and my dad is Irish. So I came out funky, but she is really a lot of Indian. I actually had to spend my summers on the reservation. Not so, but anyway, so so I believe that there's no need to put your hand on in the fire to see if it burns. Uh, me that information, so I'm gonna my hand and a trip to the ER. Heard that it burns. That's why the way I look at things, and why not share our mistakes and failures, and then what we did to make them successes. How did we turn them around? How
Yeah.
did we fix it? And then share it so they don't make the same mistake. The biggest problem is their egos don't want to hear it. you know?
Did you now? I just wrote about this the other day. I called ego, like I try to make ego like the
Yeah.
whole thing to a person, because I find, and I don't know what I was watching, but this ego thing is really getting, because I think people, as the world gets even more weird in a way, is this ego's really coming up in a lot of conversations nowadays.
It's tough, they want to be the one that gets the gratification when people come in and pat them on the back and say, "Hey, Chuck, great restaurant." And but if they only knew that Joe's not going to be there when the doors close because he can't keep it open,
Yeah.
that what it seems to me to be a lot of my way will work ethic. And that's sad because your way is going to bankrupt the restaurant, my
All right.
biggest, my biggest thing is just educate. I mean, my God, just educate yourself.
So that's a really good point. We talk about that in our summits that we're hosting in-person summits, and one of the things that we find is the time, like, is trying to get these people to, they spend a whole day with us, which is like incredible, the whole day of learning, which is unheard of, I think, for restaurateurs to be able to leave their business for a whole day.
I know, right?
But I don't know. I don't, like, we threw up on the slides last week, and this could be up or down on the number, but it was about 300 things are on a restaurant's tour's plate every day of having to do. And that's, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it.
Manage. Well, here's the thing. If I had what these folks have today, back in the 80s or 90s, I wouldn't be sitting with you right now. I'd be in some beach. There is AI that take over this and take over that. There's systems that run, together. The
Yeah.
integration schedule is amazing. These automated systems out there can make it so that your restaurant is the numbers are there. You just have to know where to go to get them. That's one. Two, it's going to give you all this extra time so that you don't have to kill yourself and maybe spend some time with the customer, which is why we're all here. And then the third thing, the management was using the right system. We need them there 10 hours, 12 hours, 14-hour days. They could work
Yeah.
them off.
Yeah. Do you find the systems today are going to get easier for people to buy and to get to use more, like more friendly?
They're gonna, don't you? They're gonna be those all-in-one systems that you're seeing.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. And I really want more restaurateurs to start adapting to that. In Canada, up here, we don't have a lot of people that are really getting into those systems because we don't have a lot of them up here. We're still
Well,
behind
I,
what the US is.
I just finished building JT. She's an automated assistant built just for restaurants. And she answers the phone, takes reservations, she'll take to-go orders, she'll take all of that information. So maybe next
Wow.
week you'd like to invite those people back. She calls them or texts them and invites them back. But I'm not the only one who's done that. There are several automated voice agents out there, and these systems allow you to the time to do more important things. See, the thing with restaurant general managers and owners is they're going to have time during the day, right? I mean, I used to go to work
Yep.
back
Yep.
in the day, 10 o'clock in the morning, right? How about you?
Yep.
Like restaurants, we don't get up early. Like, and then everything looked like I might get out at like maybe 10,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah.
life happens in between those hours. The bartender called in sick. That one was late. You ran out of this. You ran out of. You've got all these moving parts in a restaurant that don't come with a manual unless you're using the right. Like David Scott Peters, I love him for that. He's got the right system. I've got the right system because they're almost identical. And people that get it know there's really only one system. We don't go into like exacts. We give you the boundaries of how to run a restaurant that's profitable and that you don't have to be there 6 Go figure. That's fine.
You can enjoy it. Like, do you think a lot of restaurateurs are enjoying the restaurant anymore?
No, no.
No.
Boy, back in the day,
Back in the day, we
oh,
sure did, didn't we?
we had so much fun. I was 23 when I moved to New York City, and I became a general manager at 25 for the same guy. We had lines outside that wrapped around city blocks to get in this club, and we used to party harder than the bugs. He had a blast. And all of those owners would just be around mingling and smiling and having fun because they were making good money. You
Well,
know, I mean,
stars. We were rock stars, Joyce. We were rock
yeah,
stars in the
yeah.
industry, right? We drove the fancy
I used to
cars,
have, yeah,
right?
yeah, I used to have
Fancy cars.
people come up. Can you get me in the club? Can you get me
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
club?
Right? We live like rock stars. It's funny because I always tell, my kids or people I work or restaurants I coach, and we talk about that. I was like, I lived a rock star lifestyle, right? We
Yeah.
drove a fancy car. There's drugs and booze and all the others.
Oh, I used to spend $2,000 on a gown because that was in. Oh, geez.
New York, I can only imagine what New York was like in the 80s. That
it
must
was
have been amazing.
I was in the bathroom locked in a stall with Liza Minnelli. Underneath, yes, under Studio 54, there are
No way.
tunnels. Yeah, did you know that?
No, I
Underneath
didn't.
Studio 54,
No,
there are tunnels. I've been down in those tunnels.
that's wild.
Crazy.
That was wild.
Yeah, we had people like Rick James,
Yep.
like a disco guy.
Yep.
He couldn't get one night, and he called me, and I said, "Sorry, I don't know who you are."
No way.
And then he started singing, and I said, "Oh, okay." So I let him in. It was just the story. God, God, Jay.
Well, it's interesting, I like, and that's where I go back to, we miss a lot of that fun and energy that we
Yeah.
had and the craziness.
Now it's too stressful.
Now it's so stressful and
Yeah.
like and you look at these poor people. I sit back and I observe a lot of my customers, restaurants I get to work with, the people I get on the show and stuff, and I'm like, man, everyone looks a little beat up. Everyone's got this beat
Yeah.
up, and I get it. It's tough. It's really tough out there, and you see what the past was like, and you hope for good things to come forward. But I don't know. Is it ever going to get better? Do you ever think, Joyce, it's going to get better?
Well, the restaurant I just finished, that GM is working 4 days a week, an hour a day. 4. And that restaurant is doing $10 million on my system. They were doing 6.9 when I took them over. So now I set the. You want to hear what? And if this is the truth for all owners, we're in big trouble. I said to him on the first, week, can you go get me some numbers? Here, get me this, and that. He didn't clue on how to do that. So I sat down with him and I said, "Do you know what your POS system is?" And he knew the name, but that's about all he knew. And then I said, "Do you know what your labor costs and your feed costs are?" He said, "Yeah, they're really good. I get this sheet every week from my guy." I said, "Okay, what is?" He said, "Oh, they're about 28, 31, 32." I looked around the restaurant probably for about a minute. I came back, I said, "Yeah, you're probably looking around 48 on your labor. That's number one. I don't know because sure enough, it came in at 55%. He had no clue. They were booking everybody full schedules, no balance ass, no nothing. And I said, yeah, he had go from uh, well, technical, background, and then decided to open a restaurant, but he didn't educate himself. They were stealing him blind.
Oh,
No, what a check was, except for that he signed.
wow.
That's the problem. That is a big problem. But the worst problem we had in this industry by far is the fact that general managers, if you're not, and
Yeah.
they both get trained for, they think they know it all, some of them. That
Ego comes in.
ego is bad because listen, if your restaurants fail, it's usually your management.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you're absolutely right. And I find a lot of, well, there's a couple things in that. Is one, I don't see, you're right, you're bang on, is that I don't see a lot of managers wanting to train themselves or to get better,
Get
right?
it?
I'm good, I know it all, or whatever. I saw it on TikTok or whatever the case is. Or they're not putting themselves through learning. And there's some real, especially in the United States, there's a lot of guys down there, a lot of folks down there have incredible training programs or online programs, and kind of working on it. But it's really good stuff out there. But you got to get people to do that, and to
You
also
know what
managers or owners to do that.
yeah, you know what the problem is? No one holds them accountable. They
You're
just
bang on.
get fired or they get replaced or
Yeah,
demoted. I used to go on,
you're
I
so
used
right.
to go home and read articles in the F&B Institute magazine. I just because I wanted to learn. I wanted a good management job in a hotel. I'll never forget this. And I didn't even know what an ADR was. So I studied my tail off. Do you know that hotel chain gave me 6 awards for management because I studied my butt off and nobody trained me. Nobody taught me.
Well, that's that personal development. You don't see that. You don't see that. You don't see. I do. I have to say, I'm starting to see it with our summits, where I am starting to see people that are, their second time through, or you start to see a few, and it's incredible. But those are usually the people that don't need to
Wow.
be in the room. It's the other
Hey,
people that are not in the room.
you know how to fix it? I mean, I don't know what Canada is, but in America, your general manager is anywhere from 65,000 to like 180, something like that, depending on the type of restaurant. Put that and put them on commission and watch how fast their restaurants turn around.
Joyce, you speak my language. Here's how it is I've always said that even like, people get bonuses or the cases to cut food costs or labor costs. I've always been a big thing on the growth,
Yeah.
right? Because those two easy factors.
Growth and retention. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Those are two factors that are going to continue to move you forward. The other ones
Yeah.
will just make you look good.
Yeah, fluctuate. But people try to make a menu based on what they would order. Excuse me, but are you
It's so
100 people sitting in your restaurant? I don't think so. You got to what those 100 people want. And I'll go into a restaurant and the guy will have all this fancy, I mean, just like things you can't pronounce, stuff you wouldn't dare pronounce if you didn't know what I mean.
It's super expensive.
Who's your target audience? Who are you going to capture? Oh, I don't know. What's that?
Well, here's the thing that I find too with that is a lot of businesses have never trained them on that.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
Right? The other thing
corporate,
is they don't unless you go to a corporate operators.
Yeah, I was just going to say the corporate people are trying to get it right, but by the time it trickles down, the management's not held accountable for holding the staff accountable. So it doesn't work.
It's very flawed, and you see that. And then independents, they have nowhere to go, right? They don't know what to do. And I wrote an article a few months ago about who taught us to buy food? No one taught us to buy food in a restaurant.
That's true. That's
right? You
true.
usually
Your vendors taught you.
your vendors are your parents.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
vendors were your parents. The parents were, and your parents were usually, where's the deal, right? It wasn't
Yeah,
about value or whatever the
right.
case is, like we need to look out for a restaurant. But no one taught us that. And then I wrote an article after that going, no one taught us how to write a menu.
Yeah.
Like, like, no, it's not. So all these different things. And back to you saying, don't put your hand in the fire. A lot of these restaurant things is you need to start learning and listening to other people that have done
That's
these things
true.
before.
That's true. Because I didn't know about restaurant menus either. I didn't
I had
know
no
how
clue
to,
either, Joyce.
I had no
Clue.
way to know how to design them, but I did.
There we go.
You cut me off. I was like, what? What did I say?
No, it was so good. I was into it, and then my computer went out.
So it's just about getting people to hold the management accountable. Like, if your numbers aren't in this ballpark, this happens. If your staff and the way they know this, by the way, is auditing. If you
Yeah.
don't audit your restaurant, how are you going to know what people are saying, what the numbers are, what the labor looks like versus your sales, what the ordering looks? How are you going to know if you don't audit? And when you audit every week, if those numbers aren't great, or if you read Yelp reviews or Google reviews that aren't great, get your tail and hold the people accountable.
Do you find restaurants auditing themselves anymore? Like,
No, I take my system and it's full of audits. I have restaurants that don't even know how to do a lunch.
wow. Well,
Yeah,
I think there's opportunity though for restaurants to understand what auditing is, right? And I look
I'd
at
love to teach them, Jay, but
wow.
they're not lining up at my door at the moment. It's been real slow the last couple months.
Well, I think it is where people are uncertain right now, and I'm seeing that right now. It's just they're kind of holding their
But
breath.
here, yeah, I know. But here's the thing: if I had a rent to pay and a payroll to make, I'd be pulling every stuff out of the. You know what I mean? I'd be trying everything to keep the doors open because a restaurant owner's responsibility is one to keep the doors open. Everything else doesn't matter.
It really is, and I find a lot of people get sucked into all the other stuff other than foot traffic. All you have to worry about is the foot traffic. That's all you have to worry about. But and you don't see it is amazing though how many people don't focus on that. And back to this whole thing, no one taught us to buy groceries, no one taught us to write a menu, and no one told us, especially when running restaurants, was the marketing. Who taught us how to market, right? Or even build a marketing plan.
Yeah, well, you learn that too. I learned a little bit from my mentor, but I came up with one of the biggest marketing campaigns all by myself because I needed to get something done, and I said something's got to work here. So,
Okay, what is it? Tell us about that.
we were in on a busy street in Los Angeles next to Anaheim Boulevard. So Anaheim Boulevard's where Disneyland is, right?
Okay.
So I went to all the hotels up and down the street.
Okay.
And I said to the ones who didn't have food and beverage, I said, I'm your room service person now. And I put room service in every single hotel that didn't have food and beverage. That's number one. Number two, I went to Disneyland, the LA, what were they called back then? The Rams, LA Rams. That was a long time ago. I went to them. I got players to come into the restaurant by bartering. I got Disney tickets. I gave those away in a drawing. And all I had to do was give them. listen, what you're giving me is a lot more valuable than some beads and rice. Because so then I did that, and then I had the spot every third Thursday of the month. We bagged peas and we made it go to smoke meyer cookies. You know those.
Oh yeah, I know them. Yeah, I know.
And we put bagged flyers of our event, and we hit the town within a mile, and that's it.
No one does that, Joyce. That is that no one does that anymore.
The restaurant went
Lord.
from closing to making 13% off of Zoom. And that was just marketing, because I was tired of not being, congratulated, because I liked that. I had people say, and I wasn't hearing it from my owner, and I was like, dude, I gotta think of something.
Well, no, but there's a lot. I think a lot. I hear one of the guys that I know down in Kansas City, Cord, he posted today, and he said, likes and hearts and followers do not bring people in your restaurant all the time. And he goes, a lot of people are focusing on using these as their marketing engine to drive traffic into the business. And I get it. And I understand we live on those things, but it's those kind of things that I've been trying to get back into the industry more as is these actionable activities, creating activities, getting people to pound the pavement. You wouldn't believe how many restaurants. I have a restaurant we're working with tomorrow even that I said to them, I said, have you went around the neighborhood, like you said, 1 kilometer radius or 1 mile radius, and just shook the hand and introduced yourself to the community? And he said, no, I haven't. He's been there 3 years.
Oh my. That's an issue.
That's an issue.
That's an issue.
Right? Like that's it's building your relationship to the community, but we rely on posting it and going, oh, everyone else is. And then who's the CEO today? Oh, is the CEO of Reddit. He said that he thinks the internet's dead in a sense of us not necessarily not using it, but I think it's the content, the value of content on there. And I think we're going to see these activities, like you're saying, become new again, surprisingly.
Well, Jen, what is the meaning of hospitality? If you go back to when that word was born, it was inviting someone into your home for food.
Yeah.
We got back to the true meaning of hospitality, inviting people into your home for food. You might just have some.
Well, no, but you're so right. Is that, and it's, we did this last week as well. And I apologize, I'm sharing everything from last week, but it was so good. Is the one of the things I used to train my staff was the power of this thing and handshaking. And I know we can't necessarily do that today because of COVID, but before COVID, I used to train my staff to go up to a table and shake their hands. And I said, you want to see how odd people are? It's been a server.
I was over to do in this.
They did it like,
they'll look at you like you're crazy.
Exactly. And just thank them. And to train people, and this is where it gets crazy, is to train people to say thank you for coming in. Not thank you that you are on the way out, but to thank them on the way in. And you don't see that very rarely. And
staff isn't trained because the management isn't trained. So if you like, look, I hear all day, I don't have the money to hire a consultant. Well, if you have the money to hire that manager, you need to find the money because he needs to be seen. And then let him train and hold everybody else accountable. There's a course that I teach called Elevate, right? And Elevated teaches people how to run a restaurant. So make a moment count. And they don't do that anymore. make moments out for these people to come into your restaurant. And
Well, you're right,
do
Joyce.
it.
I saw that last. You know what? It reminded me again, because I get to travel all over, and I feel like I'm a rock star sometimes. The amount of traveling I do and all the great things I get to do, but is watching a family last week eat out. I watched them, and I probably creeped them out, but I was watching them at this place we're having dinner at, and it was a husband and wife and their young daughter, and I was watching them going, this is their night. And we don't know if that's their one night that month that they got to go out, or this is the first time this year they got to go out, because it is tough for a lot of families to be able to go out. So if we can create that experience for them and to watch, kids enjoying going out without a phone in their face or a tablet in
Yeah.
their face,
Yeah.
it was something special. And I think we need to make sure that we don't lose that, because that brings memories and everything else that people remember
Sure.
forever. And we
Yeah.
need to appreciate those people going into our restaurants and having those family experiences. And it's not just always the corporate models or the people having business meetings or people that are not families going out, but watching families again is very
Yeah.
cool to see the experience, because that's where it was all built, was the family. Yeah.
Some of my favorite memories are proposals. I just hello. Hello. But I mean, the point is they don't know who their customers are. When's the last time, Jay, that you heard of a manager who studied and smart? What do they want? What are they asking for? What are they demanding? What is the popular trend in food? What's the stats on just everything that's going to make a difference in my business? I sit here and study things constantly. I want to know what I want to know where they're going to find their discovery. I want to know all that. But your local restaurant manager doesn't have the energy because he's spending 60
Yeah.
hours going like this in a restaurant, and if they use the right system, could relax a little bit and do some good.
Well, no, you're right. You're more than right, because they don't it's this whole thing. I hope people figure this thing out, because you're going to lose a lot of these special memories that are made in restaurants. I grew up in a restaurant. Like, I grew up going out. It was the family night, Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, if we're lucky, is to go out and to spend time with the family in a restaurant. And it was such a place to go. And I know that has shifted, and we know those things have shifted and stuff like that, but there's still those opportunities to create memories. And if we don't
there is.
help support those memories, like to nourish those memories or encourage those memories, we need people to do that. We did a simple task. I'm scared to say this, Joyce. Last week was asking how many people in the room, and we had about 30 restaurateurs, top locations, and we asked them, do you know where all your customers are coming from? Like, what part of the city are they coming from? Different parts of the country? Where are they coming from? And are you recording just that one night? And they thought it was the greatest thing ever. I'm like, that was baseline before. That was the bare minimum.
We knew where our customers were coming from because we had conversations.
Yeah.
We built relations.
God.
Now, but what's there then, Jay, is in their system already. It's just they're unused. The demographics are there in their system. They just don't know how to get them. That's why using automation is a good idea. It'll give you all that.
It will. It'll give you all that information. And I think the consumer wants to talk. I think they want to engage. I know it's a little awkward. They'll be like, I don't know why the server's talking to me. but I do believe that they want that, or it's new to them because the generations
How
coming up.
many times does somebody invite? Let's say I invited you to dinner. How
Yeah.
would you? How would you feel if I said,
I would be like, I'd be like, what? This is insane.
as for dinner? Now,
Yes.
if you felt something, that's called emotion. Take that emotion and say to yourself, how would my guests feel if my staff and I called them and invited them in for dinner? You're going to feel the same emotion.
Who's done
It may
that?
not be as special because Joyce's
Amazing.
won't compare to theirs. But you see what I mean? You're making a guest and it feel special.
Special.
And that's the whole ball of wax.
That's what makes it different than sitting at home and cooking for yourself.
Right?
Right?
Why spend 100, 200?
Exactly. Right? It's about that, and it's not a lot. It just isn't a lot nowadays to make someone feel special. The people, it doesn't take a lot. It takes just a little bit.
Listen, everybody's going through so much.
Oh, right? Everyone's going through
It
so
would
much.
be-
You know what, Joyce? Can I give you a tip, a trick I do? This
Yeah.
is this. I taught this last week, and I love sharing this. Is so you got one of these. Everyone's got one of these, and everyone text, right? I text once a month. I call it "You're awesome." Text randomly. So you just text people randomly, like people you know, and just say you're awesome. You don't say anything else. You just say you're awesome. And we do this in my training, and I get everyone to do that and to see how long until someone responds back and says, "Are you okay?"
Right?
But it's the fact.
I have an awesome brother-in-law since he sends me those things quite often. And it makes my day.
It does. It's amazing how many people go, "Wow, thanks, Jay," or you know what? We just had Thanksgiving on Monday here, and I sent just this message just through that, similar to that. It wasn't an awesome text, but we did that, and just people just they want that the little bit of pat and say hi. We care about you, and we want to say you're awesome, or just a little message.
It's quite funny that an Indian would go into hospitality because look what happened when we invited them in. So it's quite funny that I can hospitality. But
True. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But it's
I think that all we have to do, Jay, is get the message out. It's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. So chill out, get the education you need, apply it, take the lessons that have already been learned, and that you won't have to carry the same scars. You get to enjoy the benefit. Who wouldn't want it? But they'd rather throw 150,000 at a manager who doesn't know what he's doing. It doesn't make sense.
I think that's I think that might be some of the only hope that we have, is that it's still broken enough that we can fix it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only thing we have.
I'm trying.
Right? Joyce, I want to thank you. Like you're a treasure that we have in this industry. Thank you so much for spending tonight. I don't want to take all your time tonight. We're gonna have you back on. I'm gonna get you to talk with me and Dominic. Dominic's in Italy, my co-host right now. He's chilling out in Italy. I saw him today, and he's missing.
He's having fun.
He's having a lot of fun over there, and he's going to be back. But let's have you back on the show with Dominic and myself. And I want to thank you, because we need people like you. We need to embrace all your knowledge and all the things that you have, your experiences, and all your stories and stuff like this. It means a lot to this industry, and it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm so glad we got to meet. And I'm going to share this out, so everyone else, please follow Joyce. She's on LinkedIn. She's incredible. Is there anywhere else that you want people to find you?
No, I do like the whatever the marketing people tell me to do, because there's one thing I suck at. I'm sorry to say that. Not well, there's probably more, but this one I really need to either stay away completely or learn it. And when I tried to learn it, because that's my choice most often, to get educated, to market yourself, and that, it's like that's why I hired them, because I can't do it. Now, you put me in an IHG hotel as the F&B director or director of sales, which I did for many years, sell that to the customer. Because but selling me is so hard for me.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult. So I
Well,
had to hire
you got,
somebody else.
that's good advice. That's good advice, Joyce, because a lot of people do not.
Don't know.
So,
It's hard because
mhm.
then you feel like so that's right, or am I going to look, bad? Did I represent the company well? And then you have other people counting on you, and I'm like, I'm gonna mess that. And it's too much stress. So
Yeah.
I hired somebody and let them market me.
Joyce, I have to give you a secret. My company, I guarantee it, there's a lot of gray hair from my company from me, but we've been through enough together over the last 6 years since I started building my brand, and learning kind of where that line is and if you cross it or not. I've never crossed it, but I've gotten close. But you're
I
absolutely
did. I
right. You got to be
Yeah,
careful on that.
the guy says to me, something really, I forget what he said, but I said, if your way was working, I wouldn't be like that. He didn't take that pretty well, and I went, oh,
Yeah,
so you
you're
have
absolutely right.
to.
You got to be careful. But it is important to build your brand up, especially in this industry, because I always say people buy from people, not companies. So,
Right.
and that will never change. I don't think that will ever change.
Whoever they have a relationship with, Jay,
Yeah,
either good or bad, they know you, don't they?
eh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Joyce, thank you again for your time. We really do appreciate it. And we'll have you back. And Dominic and you are going to hit it off. You guys are going to love each other. And
Okay, I
great,
can't
great
wait to meet it.
conversation. And thanks again. And to everyone else, thank you again for tuning in tonight. We're back again tomorrow, and then it's going to get crazy, Joyce. We got like a million different guests and stuff coming on the show.
Oh, I can't wait. And hey, I'm so glad that you got better quick.
Yes, thank
I
you.
hate to hear you were sick.
I was pretty nasty, but I'm back. I'm back, and I'm
Oh,
feeling
good.
better.
Try
Awesome.
that elderberry. It works well.
I know everyone's kept feeding everything to me. So I feel so good. So, anyways,
Oh,
it's awesome. Thanks so much, Joyce. To everyone else, have a
okay,
great evening,
bye.
and all the best.
Thank you, Jeff.